The last time Emily Harper kicked me out of the car, I knew it was really over between us. Strangely, it didn't hurt as much as I'd imagined. It was more of a quiet relief. In fact, I felt a little grateful that I had chosen to marry the woman my family had arranged for me and was now preparing to study abroad in Germany with her. On Emily's birthday, our friends joked about what kind of gift I'd give her. Someone guessed I'd probably hand her the deed to that piece of land she'd been eyeing. But I didn't even show up until the party was over. She didn't know I had actually left for Germany and that I genuinely didn't care anymore. On a Friday morning, I got a text from Emily Harper. I didn't bother replying with anything more than a simple "okay" before tossing my phone aside. When the time came, I went downstairs as planned. Her Bentley was parked at the entrance, and Aunt Thompson was waiting by the door. As soon as she saw me, she opened the passenger door without a word. I nodded at her and got in. Just like I expected, Emily and Michael Evans were sitting in the back, laughing and talking as if I wasn't even there. That suited me fine. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and let the silence be my company. Eventually, Michael must have noticed me sitting up front. He said in that overly polite tone of his, "James Carter, I'm sorry. Did we wake you?" If this had been months ago, I probably would have snapped back, said something like, "You already know you're disturbing me and still act like this? Who the hell do you think you are?" But this time, I just shook my head and replied coolly, "No, go ahead." Michael looked taken aback, then turned to Emily with that wounded puppy expression and said, "It's all your fault for talking to me. I didn't see Brother James there. James won't be mad at me, will he?" As he spoke, he clutched her arm. "Emily, please say something nice to him. I'm meeting Grandma today, and I don't want to mess it up." "Don't worry, Michael," Emily said, brushing his cheek with a kiss that made my stomach turn. When she finally turned to me, her eyes were sharp and cold, as if daring me to ruin her perfect little performance. "James Carter won't, right?" It wasn't the first time she tried to paint me as the jealous one, especially when it came to Michael. But no matter how many times it happened, it still stung. That she actually saw me as this petty, this disposablite was maddening. I laughed bitterly, like I was mocking myself more than anything. Of course, I don't care. I must have said something wrong, though, because the air inside the car turned ice cold. She narrowed her eyes and said, "James Carter, what do you mean by that?" I sat up straighter and stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. "I mean, I don't stoop that low." "Is that answer good enough for you, Miss Emily?" It was the first time I'd ever called her that. She went silent. I didn't look at her again. Still, I caught a glimpse of her out of the corner of my eye and remembered the early days when I first found out the elders were arranging a childhood marriage between us. Back then, we were just kids. She had been this bright-eyed girl next door, full of energy and sharp wit. I was drawn to her eyes, so dark and vivid. But now, all that brightness had dimmed, replaced by the kind of polished coldness that made her seem like a stranger. I didn't want to chase her anymore. In the awkward quiet, Michael started sniffling. "It's all my fault. I made James angry. I just didn't want to be alone when I heard you two were going to the old house, so I asked Emily to bring me." "I'm sorry." He bit his lip and looked up at her with a single teardrop clinging to his lashes. "James, don't be mad. I won't go, okay?" He fumbled with his seatbelt but couldn't get it off in his flustered panic. Emily pulled him into her arms and whispered comforts until he cried himself to sleep. When she looked back up, her face was stone cold again. "Let's be honest, James. That childhood marriage means nothing. You're nothing compared to Michael. I'll say it one last time, I don't love you. I love Michael Evans. I knew that. Everyone knew that. Her feelings for him were never a secret. If Grandma didn't insist on seeing you, why would I have brought you along just to upset Michael, she once said. That day, she kicked me out of the car again. And again, I felt relief more than anything else. I realized, maybe for the first time, that I wasn't broken. I was finally starting to let go. Then I remembered my birthday. I had been furious at her for skipping it, for choosing Michael over me yet again. But to cheer me up, she booked the entire Peninsula Hotel. I told myself she had planned something big, something thoughtful. My friend even joked, "Emily's saving the best for last, she'll show up with the perfect gift." I let myself believe that. But when she finally arrived and opened her gift box, it wasn't for me. Inside were cufflinks custom made to match Michael Evans's luxury watch. I didn't even have time to be angry. Her phone rang, and she answered it with that soft, indulgent tone. "Emily, did you forget to lock the door when you left?" Michael's voice crackled through the line. "I think I heard something in the living room, I'm scared." He sounded like a helpless kid begging for attention. Emily chuckled. "Relax. I'm just at a birthday party. Don't be dramatic." Then suddenly, there was a crash on the other end, a burst of panic. Emily's face fell. She turned to me without blinking. "James, stay and enjoy your party. I have to go check on Michael." And just like that, she vanished from the room. I don't know what came over me, but I ran after her. By the time I got outside, her car was already speeding away. I ended up sitting alone on the curb for what felt like hours, long enough for the rain to come, long enough for the city lights to blur through the fog, that I suddenly dropped to the ground, legs numb and aching, and at that moment, it finally hit me: unrequited love was always a war fought alone. The girl who once made my heart race in my youth was now being gently erased from my world, piece by piece. Just then, I looked up and saw a pair of long legs and high heels walking toward me. My gaze followed them upward and landed on a beautiful face, stunning, even more than the photo had shown. A few months ago, when my father asked if I still wanted to marry Emily Harper, I had already refused. Her relationship with Michael Evans had gone far deeper than any of her previous flings. I had to admit I lost. Maybe I was never really in the running to begin with. To Emily, I was just the harmless childhood friend, someone Grandma Harper adored because she once saved my life and insisted on calling me her future grandson-in-law. My family didn't have the heart to argue with her, but 3 days ago, my father showed me a photo and asked what I thought. I remember being caught off guard. She was gorgeous, enough to stir something in me. My father laughed and said, "The girl from the Bennett family isn't bad. You should meet her." I had no idea then that the Bennett girl he mentioned was the youngest daughter from the Bennett family in northern Beijing. I thought she might not show up after all. My so-called childhood sweetheart had just thrown me out of a car, and Sarah Bennett was essentially a stranger I was supposed to marry. But then she looked at me and said, "James Carter, you're worth more than you think. Don't sell yourself short." Her eyes were too sincere, almost unsettling. If I didn't know better, I might have believed she actually liked me. I smiled, opened the car door, and got in. As I reached for the seatbelt, her scent hit me, subtle but intoxicating. She leaned in slightly to pull the belt across me, and for a second, I forgot how to breathe. Her arm brushed against me, and my heart was racing like a teenager's. The car started, and her voice was soft and graceful. "Mr. James, I assume you haven't eaten yet. Would I be lucky enough to invite you to dinner?" She glanced at me playfully. "Normally I wouldn't have dinner with someone I've only just met, but this time, okay," I said without hesitation. Since that day, Emily and I hadn't contacted each other again. Michael Evans had started posting videos showing off their love life, first just her hand, then her shoulder, her profile, and finally, a full-face kiss that announced their relationship to the world. The video went viral. Some netizens began questioning Emily's identity, and Michael handled it casually during a live stream. "Wait for her birthday," he said, "she'll appear live for everyone." He even mentioned that she was planning to take him to Iceland to see the northern lights. He looked so in love, floating on air. When my friends in the circle saw it, they messaged me right away. "James Carter, wasn't there a childhood engagement between you and Emily Harper?" I opened the chat and sent a voice note. "Come on, childhood engagement. There's no such thing. Emily and I were just ordinary childhood friends. Keep this between us," but she's already introduced Michael to her parents. After that, my buddy got the hint, and we dropped the topic. I didn't really pay much attention to Emily after that. I buried myself in research, watched short clips when I had time, and inevitably came across their trending videos. I'd imagined what it'd feel like if Emily really got engaged to Michael. Now that it was happening, I wasn't devastated. I wasn't even surprised. I didn't feel sad or betrayed, just strangely hollow. A message notification pulled me back. I glanced at my phone. It was from Sarah Bennett. I couldn't help but smile and tapped a quick reply. The next day, Sarah came with me to campus to help finalize my paperwork for studying abroad. We walked side by side like a couple just starting out. I told her stories about my time in school, and she listened attentively, sometimes laughing at the silly parts. With her, I finally felt relaxed. As we neared the dorm, I hesitated. "I'm heading up to pack. You can leave first if you want." I regretted it as soon as I said it, but was too awkward to ask her to stay. But Sarah just smiled and ruffled my hair. "It's okay. Go pack, I'll wait for you downstairs." My heart practically exploded in my chest. I ran inside, my hand brushing the spot on my head where she'd touched. I caught myself smiling like an idiot. I didn't have much to pack. When I came back down with a bag in hand, I thanked her and said, "Let's go. I'll treat you to spicy hot pot by the back gate." "Sounds great," she replied, effortlessly taking my bag. I waited for her to take the lead and walked after her. But just as we turned the corner, we ran into Claire Morgan, one of Emily's many girlfriends who was seeing her boyfriend off. Claire and I were on good terms. She used to joke that I followed Emily around like her little personal butler. Her eyes shifted between Sarah and me, narrowing slightly. "James Carter, and this is?" Since no one knew about my engagement to Sarah yet, I figured I'd keep it simple. "She's just helping me pick up a package," I mumbled, not sounding convincing even to myself. Claire raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. "James Carter, get your head straight," she said flatly, then walked away. Later, Claire did what I feared. She called Emily Harper. The two had been close for years. Even though Emily always talked down about me, she never actually pushed me away. Claire had seen the way Emily reacted to me over the years. She thought Emily cared about me but was just confused. And maybe once, I thought that too. But now I wasn't so sure. She had to do something, if not, too many people would end up regretting it. "Sister, are you busy? Have you been in touch with James Carter lately?" Claire Morgan hadn't even finished her sentence before Emily Harper cut her off coldly. "Claire, you seem to have too much time on your hands. Since when did James Carter ask you to be his spokesperson?" Emily already knew I hadn't reached out to her in a while. She probably figured I was angry or sulking, thought I was still obsessed with her. She assumed all my attention had shifted to Michael Evans anyway. But this time, I hadn't tried to see her, hadn't tried to stir up trouble. Maybe that confused her. She mocked me in her head. "Look at him, the little boy grew up, learned how to get clever, sent someone else to fish for information instead." No, it's not. "I actually saw James Carter with another girl today," Claire said hesitantly, but Emily Harper just sneered and waved her off. "Oh please, am I supposed to pay him back now? He's been hovering around me like a stray for years. What girl would be interested in someone like that? And you're so good at being his little messenger, now you're inventing lies for him. If he wants to get my attention with these stupid tricks, tell him next time he won't just get ignored for half a month." She scoffed again. "I've clearly spoiled him too much. Anyway, I have to go plan my birthday party with Michael Evans. Don't ever call me again about James Carter." Claire Morgan scratched her head in frustration. Why was Emily so impossible to talk to today? On the day of Emily Harper's birthday, Sarah Bennett and I were already on the plane to Germany. I hadn't told anyone else about my study plans. The school officials didn't need to inform Emily either. She was busy being in love. No one wanted to disrupt her fairy tale. That morning, I wore a wool coat out the door, and Sarah's family driver quickly ran over when he saw me. grabbed my luggage, and opened the car door. Inside, Sarah sat in casual clothes, holding a sleek lunch box on her lap. Her smile lit up when she saw me. "James Carter, hurry up. I brought your favorite breakfast." She looked soft, graceful, with curled lashes and a kind of elegance that felt easy. As I climbed in and took the box from her hands, I couldn't help but remember when Emily used to be this attentive to me. But those days were long gone. I smiled gently. "Thank you, Miss Sarah. That's very thoughtful." The luxury car cruised silently through the pre-dawn haze. In first class, I followed Sarah down the aisle, my eyes briefly wandering to her waist, then her legs long, graceful. For some reason, my thoughts turned stupid and messy. Then, she tripped. Before I could react, she fell straight into my arms. We froze. Our eyes met. For a second, I forgot we were strangers. We were technically engaged, but barely knew each other. Still, something about her, something quiet and kitten-like when she lowered her eyes, made me want to protect her. It almost felt like I was filming some cheesy romantic drama. But I didn't want her thinking I was the kind of guy who used every chance to get close. I'd spent too many years trailing after Emily Harper. I didn't want to look foolish again. Especially not in front of someone I might actually spend my life with. "I'm not usually like this," I blurted out. "Seriously." Sarah coughed softly and straightened up. "Well, it's a long flight. Maybe you should rest for a while." I nodded, too awkward to speak, and started fidgeting with the blanket. Who on earth had booked a double recliner? She let out a small laugh and gently pulled the blanket over me herself. I didn't dare meet her gaze. Thank you," I mumbled and closed my eyes. I drifted off, ate something halfway through, then fell asleep again. When I woke up, I realized she had fallen asleep in my arms. My heart stopped. Her soft breath hit my neck. My eyes scanned her delicate features, collarbones, her small upturned nose, eyelids fluttering gently. It was too much, too fast. I didn't dare move. My neck ached from the position, but I didn't want to disturb her. I barely brushed my fingers across her brow. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at me, dazed, then pulled the blanket up and cuddled into me again like it was the most natural thing in the world. Before boarding, I had received a call from Michael Evans. I hadn't wanted to answer, but I did. "James Carter, you're not really planning on showing up at Emily's birthday, are you? Don't you think it's pathetic? If someone doesn't like you, don't act like a piece of gum that won't come off." Normally I would have lost my temper, maybe said something that would push Emily away even more. But this time, I just hit the record button on my phone and chuckled. "Who said I'm not coming? Just wait." When the party started, Michael began to panic. He had promised his fans a live stream featuring Emily Harper's face for the first time. But now he was scared I'd show up and ruin everything. If I said something about our supposed childhood engagement during the stream, it would explode online. He bit his lip in frustration. Damn it. Why did I call him? I just wanted to make him back off, not provoke him into coming. Across the room, Emily Harper noticed his nervous energy and leaned close. "What's wrong? You feeling okay?" "No, I mean. Yes. I just." Michael tried to force a smile. "I told my fans I'd do a live on your birthday, but now I think it might not be the best idea." Emily rubbed his shoulder. "You're right. It's not perfect timing. But I'll show my face for a bit. Don't worry, just enjoy the moment. There are so many people here." Michael looked at her, clearly still nervous. Then he whispered, "I'm just scared. What if James Carter says something about that engagement thing on camera?" Emily Harper's face darkened. "Why are you bringing that up again?" She hated it when people brought up our so-called childhood engagement, but when she saw the tears welling up in Michael Evans's eyes, her heart softened. "All right," she said gently, "I'll take care of it. I promise no one will mention this online." No one's going to hurt you. As soon as the words left her lips, Michael brightened like a child being promised a treat. Emily smiled too. That's what she liked about him, so simple, so pure. No second guessing, no emotional chess game. Just straight lines. With her reassurance, his anxiety faded fast. He leaned into her arms and kissed her cheek sweetly. At that moment, he thought, even if James Carter shows up, I'm not scared. Emily always takes my side. The panic in his chest vanished. He looked up and grinned at her. Emily chuckled and teased, look at you, crying like that. Michael stomped his foot playfully. So mean. I'm going to clean up, wait for me. Once he left the room, Emily sat back with her friends. Someone brought up my name. Wait. Has anyone seen James Carter tonight? The table fell quiet. No one had. No way, someone scoffed. He didn't show. That's impossible. James Carter's always the first to arrive when Emily throws something. The guy sitting beside Emily bumped her shoulder and grinned. Maybe you've been flaunting your new boyfriend too much lately. He's mad at you. Emily shot him a sharp look. Talk properly. You've had enough wine. But truth be told, his words hit a nerve. I had been acting strange lately. Aside from asking Claire Morgan to play messenger, I hadn't caused any scenes, hadn't argued, hadn't even texted her. And wasn't that what she wanted all along? Still, she couldn't shake the feeling. Emily took a long sip of her wine, narrowed her eyes, and scoffed quietly to herself. No way James Carter would stay silent. She knew me too well. I'd wait until the last second, then pull out something grand just to make her fold again. She set down her glass and crossed her arms, her voice dripping with mockery. If he shows up now, don't let him in right away. Everyone laughed. This was her way of punishing me for being late. Wonder what he's bringing this time, someone joked. No need to guess. That plot of land Emily liked. He'll probably give it to her. They weren't wrong. That used to be me. She'd mentioned something in passing, and I'd move heaven and earth to make it hers. Emily thought this year would be no different. But it was. I didn't show up until the party was already halfway over, and the clock was nearing midnight. Emily frowned, clearly irritated. Claire leaned in and whispered, should I call him? Maybe he's stuck in traffic or something. Emily didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. That was all the permission Claire needed. Meanwhile, across the ocean, Sarah and I had arrived in a foreign country. After the long flight, I finally felt myself relax once I collapsed onto the big bed in the manor. The plane had beds, sure, but nothing beats solid ground under your body. Just as I was dozing off, my phone buzzed. WeChat call. Claire. James Carter, where the hell are you? Her voice was hushed and frantic. It's Emily's birthday. The cake's about to be cut. You always cut it with her every year. If you don't come, the new boyfriend will do it. I groaned and rubbed my temples, still half asleep. I'm not coming. Please tell Emily happy birthday for me. What I didn't know was that she'd already handed the phone over to Emily. And Emily, who heard me call Claire, Sister Emily, a name I'd never used with her, suddenly felt a wave of discomfort wash over her. For years, I'd been glued to her side, and now I wouldn't even show up for her birthday. That name, that tone, too distant. Too unfamiliar. Maybe deep down, she didn't want me to become a stranger. James Carter, she said, trying to keep her voice even, why not say it to me in person? I wasn't surprised to hear her. Claire wouldn't have called without Emily's approval. If this is about Michael Evans, I said, then don't bother. I'm not playing games anymore. I know you think I'm hiding somewhere watching everything, but I'm really not. Don't waste your energy. She started to speak again, but I cut her off with a laugh. Sister Emily, whatever you think is fine. Just don't call me again. Then I ended the call. To be honest, I hadn't even thought about Emily Harper the past couple of days. Not even once. I took a hot shower and went downstairs. Sarah was reading on the couch, glasses perched on her nose. When she saw me, she closed the book, took off her glasses, and rubbed her eyes. Finally awake, she teased. The housekeeper booked a restaurant. I hear the food's not bad. I nodded. Let me go change. No, she whined dramatically, grabbing my wrist. Have mercy, I'm starving. You look great like this, I swear. I couldn't help but laugh. I gave her a playful bow. Shall we, Miss Bennet? The restaurant was even nicer than expected. Despite being famished, Sarah still pulled out a chair for me with effortless grace. I glanced at her again. I never imagined the youngest daughter of the Bennet family would be like this, so easy to be around, so natural. Even Emily had never done things like this. Or maybe she did, but I never noticed because I was too busy chasing her approval. I was starting to genuinely like Sarah Bennet. Our first meal together abroad was surprisingly perfect. After dinner, she suggested we take a walk to build chemistry, as she put it. We strolled down quiet streets, talking about everything and nothing. Snow started to fall softly from the sky, painting the streets in white. The crowds thinned, but we kept walking side by side, warm in our silence. It felt like the whole world had disappeared, and only the two of us remained. The snow kept falling, but neither of us seemed to mind. I don't know who reached out first, but suddenly our fingers were interlocked, warm against the cold. We smiled at each other. She was wearing a long black coat, and snowflakes had started to settle on her dark hair. When she blinked, her eyelashes flicked off the half-melted snow like something out of a manga panel. I stood on tiptoe and gently brushed the snow from her bangs. That's when a voice called out, "Wow, that's so romantic." Hold still, I am taking another shot. I looked over. A guy with a camera was grinning at us like he'd found the cover of a love novel. Sarah and I played along, posing as he directed. Eventually, he asked if he could use our phones to take one more. Sarah handed hers over without hesitation. The guy didn't even hesitate, snapped the photo and handed it back like a pro. As we waved goodbye, I arched an eyebrow at her. You trust strangers that easily? What if you ran off with your phone? Sarah didn't answer. She just smiled and leaned into me, wrapping herself in my coat like I was home. I could hear her heartbeat. For the first time in a long while, I felt peace. A few minutes later, Sarah took out her phone and did something quickly. Not long after, a sleek black car pulled up beside us. I pointed at 5 identical cars in the distance and gave her a look. That your backup? She just smiled. When we got back to the manor, we sat in front of the fireplace, warming our hands. Sarah suddenly took mine and said, "Should we make it official?" She was right. We were in Germany. The announcement of the James Bennet engagement would go public soon anyway. I nodded. Let's use that photo the guy took. It really was a good shot. She sent it to me. While I was saving it, a video notification popped up. I didn't care at first, I just posted our photo on WeChat Moments. After that, I opened the video absent-mindedly. It was footage from Emily Harper's party. She was smiling, holding Michael Evans's hand as they cut her birthday cake. "Michael, we're officially together," she said softly. Then he handed her a gift, just a cheap watch. It didn't match her status at all, but she still put it on and flashed it proudly. Everyone clapped and cheered. Our sister Emily has great taste. She's so lucky. Michael Evans grinned like a schoolboy and buried his head in her shoulder. The video ended. My mood? Still. I turned off the phone and leaned into Sarah's embrace, letting that moment go. Because of the time difference, our friends in China saw my post right around the end of the party. Somehow, someone shared the photo of Sarah and me into the Harper sisters group chat. While they were comparing party photos, one of them gasped, "Wait. Is that James Carter? From his own feed? That girl looks perfect with him." Shh, keep it down. Emily Harper was sitting with Michael Evans on her lap when it happened. At the sound of their whispers, she kicked the table over. She braced her knees with both hands and snapped coldly, "What are you all so excited about?" The one who said, "Keep it down," quickly hid their phone. Claire Morgan froze. Emily's tone had changed. Dangerous. Claire pulled her phone out with trembling fingers and handed it over, screen already unlocked. Emily stared at the photo of me and Sarah kissing on a snowy street. "James Carter," she said, each word bitter and sharp. "You've really done it this time." Her lips twisted into a sneer. The veins in her hand bulged as she clutched Michael Evans. "Emily, you're hurting me," he whined, rubbing his chest. She shoved him away. He stumbled, hitting the ground with wide eyes, stunned. "Why are you mad at me? Did I do something?" The room fell into dead silence. Everyone who had been laughing just minutes ago now slipped away, one by one, leaving Michael Evans on the floor and Emily Harper staring into nothing. She didn't look at him, didn't say a word. He bit his lip and left slowly, turning back every few steps like a child hoping his mother would call him back. She never did. That night, Emily sat alone in that box room. She lit cigarette after cigarette. Finally, she called Claire. "Is it her?" Claire hesitated, then whispered, "Yes." Emily hung up. No other words. Later, she found out that Sarah and I had gone to Germany together. My father had visited Grandma Harper and had a long talk. Just like that, the childhood engagement was officially over. The weight she'd carried for years gone. But it didn't bring her any peace. She thought she'd feel free. Instead, she felt nothing but hollow. She wanted answers. She needed to know if I was the one who wanted to end it all. So she came. I never expected to see Emily Harper again. Sarah and I had just finished class, walking out of the university hand in hand. Emily was waiting under a tree across the street, in a brown coat and black scarf, still beautiful, still proud. "James Carter," she called out. I stopped, surprised. Sarah and I walked across together. Emily's eyes flicked to our hands. "They said you and her came to Germany." I didn't believe it. Grandma told me that childhood engagements don't really count. But how can they not count? She stepped toward me, but Sarah moved subtly, stepping between us. I leaned forward slightly, my tone calm but firm. "Sister Emily, this is my fiancée, Sarah Bennett." Sarah turned and gave a quick smile. "Hello, sister-in-law." Emily's face went pale. It was like the ground beneath her shifted. She stood there, frozen. After a long pause, she finally said, "James Carter. Michael Evans and I we're breaking up. Please don't mess around like this. It's not funny." I noticed Sarah stiffen beside me. I gently squeezed her hand. "Sister Emily," I said softly, "I know I've made a lot of trouble for you over the years. My self-proclaimed secret love was nothing more than an illusion born from a childhood engagement. I had mistaken familiarity for affection, obligation for love. But now, I've found the one I truly care for, and I sincerely wish you and your Michael Evans happiness." With that, Sarah Bennett and I turned and walked away. I felt her stare sear into my back like a blade of memory, but I didn't look back. I had no reason to. After Emily Harper returned to China, she began drinking alone at night. One evening, Michael Evans came to find her. Slurring her words, she pushed him and snapped, "Get out of here. Don't touch me. I want to break up with you." She didn't even realize how hard she pushed tumbled down the stairs. After he got out of the hospital, she told him coldly, "Don't look for me again, Michael. Let's end this peacefully." He clung to her wrist, crying. "Did I do something wrong? Why don't you want me anymore? Please, just tell me why." She shook her head. "There's no reason. It's just over." She pulled away and added softly, "I'll give you some money. If you need anything later, I'll help you. His red, glassy eyes stared up at her like a wounded animal. And suddenly, Emily remembered she had never been this cruel to Michael before. She'd always saved that coldness for me. She didn't know how many times she had looked at me with that same indifferent expression. She remembered the first time she left me for Michael. My eyes had been full of pain. I looked at her like she was the only thing I had left in the world. And by the last time, my eyes held nothing at all. No fire. No pleading. Nothing. When I returned to China that year, my buddy Daniel Reed filled me in. Turns out Michael Evans didn't take the breakup well. He refused to accept it, saying he'd finally landed a sponsor like Emily and wasn't about to let go. She even wrote him a check for 5 million yuan, but he tore it up. When he couldn't find her, he started crying on some audio streaming app. At first, netizens mocked him, but slowly, public opinion turned. People started to sympathize. Emily ignored it until the media got involved. Press releases flooded her inbox. That's when she realized she'd underestimated Michael Evans. The moment it all hit, she coughed up blood. She had lost James Carter for that man. Furious, she dialed her assistant and ordered a full investigation. Within hours, Michael's file was on her desk. Plastic surgery. Bar hopping. Gambling. Escort services. Dirty didn't even begin to cover it. Her stomach churned. Without hesitation, she leaked it all. Online backlash hit hard. Michael Evans was crucified by the public. He vanished from the internet. And then just like that, so did he. Rumors said Emily Harper had sent him to northern Myanmar. No one could prove it. No one tried. 3 years into my life in Germany with Sarah, she proposed to me on a quiet street under the falling snow. The ring was a pink diamond, rare, elegant, won at an auction she had secretly attended. I accepted. Without a second thought. Being with Sarah meant I never had to question where I stood. She never made me doubt, never made me feel less. She gave me security. She gave me warmth. She gave me a love that felt simple and safe. One night, I lay in her lap and asked, "Sarah Bennett, why do you love me?" She smiled, pressed a kiss to my lips, and whispered, "Because you're worth loving. Because loving you is the privilege of my life." Only later one night when she got drunk did she reveal the truth. She'd loved me since high school. The first time we met, she had fainted outside a lab from low blood sugar. I happened to be passing by with a box of chocolates meant for Emily. I gave her half. That tiny gesture had buried itself in her heart for years. She saw how close Emily and I were and quietly stepped aside. But when she heard how Emily had treated me, how I had been hurt, she promised herself that if Emily wouldn't cherish James Carter then she would. She asked her older brother to propose the marriage. She waited hours in front of her mirror, all dressed up, only for me not to show. Still, she waited. Until one day, I messaged her. When we met again, she called me James Carter. And that day, Cupid didn't just aim at us. He fired. And I finally felt what it meant to be chosen. Extra, Emily Harper's perspective. When Emily Harper turned 30, James Carter and Sarah Bennett got married. It was a spectacle, two powerful families, a wedding written in gold. She received an invitation. She went. Watched James walk down the aisle in an impeccably tailored suit. Watched him hold hands with another woman. She told herself she had let him go long ago. But standing there, hearing their vows, she realized she never had. She turned away before the rings were exchanged, before their lips met. She couldn't bear it. She left without saying a word. She had lost. Entirely. Looking back, maybe it was because he was too good to her. Maybe that was the problem. James Carter gave her everything. That made her restless. She craved excitement, surprise, the chaos of the unknown. And James? James was a life that could be seen clearly, step by step. Predictable. Reliable. Boring. But reliable men are the ones who stay. She just didn't realize that until he didn't. In those golden years, the Harper family thrived under the Carter family's support. All she had to do was hint at something. James would make it happen. A project? He'd find investors. A plot of land? It was under her name the next day. Anything he had, if she wanted it, he gave it to her. But instead of gratitude, she responded with cruelty, maybe to convince herself she wasn't dependent. Maybe to prove something to others. But eventually, the engagement was cancelled. James's father still respected her grandmother, but that didn't mean they would remain bound. The Harper name faded. And Emily fell from Miss Emily to just Emily. She never saw James again. Her life blurred into smoke, drifting away one memory at a time. The end.